You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. Now the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's This Is How I Made It After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's This Is How I Made It After Show.
Thank you. Welcome. Bing is for doing, and we are doing another episode of This Is How I Made It, episode 7. My name is Thomas, and right across from me,
Nigel McGuinness, in it to win it.
And Kendra Kabasele.
You need a catchphrase.
Growing up in the tough suburbs of Montreal.
which we learned that also apparently the most beautiful women are from Montreal.
According to Nigel.
Yeah, according to most people, you ask.
And you're from the rough streets of London?
Roughly.
But he's going to tell us how he made it.
Yeah,
So.
we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
You know, but first, let's go ahead and talk about Miss Karlie Kloss. But, you know, I am a bad speller, by the way, and I misspelled her name, even though I had the name right in front of me.
You didn't have to put it out there.
I know, it's okay. Hey, you gotta admit your faults. You gotta admit things you're good at, and I'm good at talking, not so good at spelling.
And Karlie Kloss.
It's Christmas, right?
You know, that was my agenda. It's Christmas. But
No,
she grew up in the tough streets of St. Louis.
Santa Claus's illegitimate daughter. It's Karlie Kloss.
Oh, anyway, but yeah, she grew up, you know, in St. Louis. She had a very normal childhood, you know, just typical Midwestern girl. And, you know, she was big into sports, you know, like a lot of people when they're young, and then she hit that growth spurt. I think it was right around age 13, grew 6 inches in the summer, entered her sports career, and, you know, became very lanky and became very self-conscious over her long arms and long legs, which are, you know, a lot of times model attributes. You have to be very tall to walk the runway, and it's kind of interesting that those are things that she was very intimidated about, and later in life she's come to embrace.
And so have the modeling scouts. Yeah, well, but it was suitable for ballet because that's something that she got into. He's laughing at my notes.
Oh yeah, Kendra can't even talk. Kendra takes amazing notes, by the way, which is what we found out.
All up here.
Exactly.
I'm going to turn this over because he's looking at it.
It just says ballet.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, well,
Which I
Karlie
didn't need to write.
Yeah, she did take ballet, and she,
Yeah.
you know, that was something that she went into, and she was very good at.
Yeah.
But it also kind of hindered her modeling career. It kind of shows like sometimes you have to stay on one road. You can't branch out into too many roads. You know, you lose focus.
Well, she was never thinking of modeling. So, you know, she was going forth with ballet. It developed her, I don't know, her poise, etc. But then it also hindered her because she would walk with duck feet, she said.
Yeah, so she had her feet out, and she was maybe in Paris or someplace in Europe. She was walking the runway, and right before they were like, "You walk like a duck. You need to change your feet." And she tried so hard to change her feet. She's like, I kept trying. I walked back and forth, and they had to cut me, and it devastated her.
Yeah.
But that's now become her trademark in modeling. So who would have thought? You know.
Right.
If it walks like
It seemed like a different episode tonight. I don't know about you guys. Like there's been a few episodes where people really struggled for a long time. You know, had a real sort of, you know, character arc. And obviously, you know, Big Sean certainly paid his dues to some extent. But compared to a lot of the other people we've seen on here, I kind of felt like, well, Karlie Kloss never really even wanted to be a model, and almost sort of it was not given to her on a plate, but you could certainly say that, you know,
it was like opportunity met.
kind of just, you know, sort of fell into it and decided once she'd already been on runways that this is what she wanted to do, and whoop-de-doo, she's off to the races. But I don't know that many people sitting out there sort of struggling with what they're going to do with their life are going to look at her and go, okay, yeah, now I can be a model. Or what do you guys think?
Well, I think this episode was all about timing, to be honest with you. It just showed, as we get to Big Sean later, but it just showed both of them. It was just timing. Like, they were at the right place at the right time. They got discovered, and boom, it kind of went. And unfortunately in life, a lot of times it's all about the right place, the right time. And if it's meant to be, it will happen. That's something I truly believe. It may take longer or shorter. It just depends on your journey in life. But a lot of times it's just that timing, you know, such as relationships. Or what's your thoughts?
I mean, she acknowledged it. She said, you know, she's lucky. She didn't really seek this career, and it was kind of something that popped in her head when she was scouted. So,
right. But is that inspiring to people sitting out there watching, do you think?
Well, it just shows reality.
But is it inspiring in what way? Because how, you know, you can't sit at home.
Anybody
and say,
sitting at home now with a dream, having watched this episode, do you think they'd be as inspired to pursue their dreams as they would have done watching the other previous episodes?
I think in a way, I think if you're going to be, I think, you know what it's, I think in a way they may be inspired. It's not as going to be as much of a struggle as, you know, as some people that they went through, but not everyone's life is a huge struggle. And, you know, it's kind of how I look at it.
Well, I think they'd be more inspired by Big Sean, just inspired to kind of say something to whoever, you know, like speaking to Kanye, who has the guts to kind of just go up to Kanye and say, can I spit for you? And he even, you know, okay, sorry.
But isn't that funny?
Coming from me?
No, like verbiage, like how words have changed so much. Like, you know, 20 years ago, if you'd have walked up to somebody and said, hey, can I spit for you? They'd have been like, what on earth are you talking about? Right?
Right.
I mean, even now, I don't know. I mean, I can surmise, obviously, I understand what, you know, I can read between the lines, but he said that, like, this is what made me laugh. When he was spitting for Kanye, he saw Kanye vibing.
Right. But that you know.
No, well, I don't know. I mean, you know, vibing can be misconstrued as well, right?
No, I mean, vibing's vibing. Like, you feel the
vibes.
vibes. You kind of feel like it can be taken kind of like Ratchet we broke down a while back. But it's kind of like vibing is just kind of like that way you feel about something. Just like, you know, like if you see a girl, right, you'd be like, oh, I'm vibing her. Oh, you know, you see a guy, I'm vibing him, whatever, you know.
This is not meant.
I feel the vibes. I get it.
Sorry.
I like it. Yeah, we're totally getting off topic here. But yeah, it's all about the vibes. And I mean, and Karlie was vibing when she.
If I said I was vibing my girlfriend last weekend, then that could be misconstrued as well, right?
Kind of. It depends on where your mind is.
Well,
your mind's in that gutter. You need to clean that gutter. It's rainy season.
Hey,
it rains here in LA.
We're all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. Oscar Wilde said that.
In the context,
I understand.
Kanye, yeah, he was just bold to step up to him and say,
very much
can I, you know, show you what I have. And Kanye was nice to listen to that, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Right. I mean, he was on his way out. He had things to do. He was a busy
and then even
man.
after he signed, which I thought was interesting, was once he'd signed a deal and he didn't automatically get to that next stage. He had to put out, 3 mixtapes before he even, you know, broke through to get that sort of level of fame, right?
Yeah, totally.
But was it not, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seemed to be once he started working with other people who were already well known, that was when he broke through. Yes or no?
A little bit.
He created a fan base with his mixtapes.
A little bit, a fan base, but to get to that stage where he's really popular and making money.
He started, like, remember, like, when what was it? I forget what age it was. He was in high school. Oh, before we get into this, you guys, be sure to go to iTunes.com and rate us and comment on us and download us. We love to hear your feedback. We love 5 stars. It's amazing. It changes our life. But be sure to go to iTunes and download us. Highly appreciate it. But, you know, back to that, like, it was back when he was in high school. He was, there was some radio station in Detroit, and they had those free,
the Cypher.
You know, yeah, exactly. It's the Cypher, exactly. So he would go and he would rap, and they would have little contests. He did it for about a year, and then he just kind of grew from there. And then he was at the station and ran into Kanye, and, you know, that's when you said he was spitting his lyrics out to him. And he gave him his tape, and he kind of just kept growing, and he ended up getting, Kanye called him back, like a year later?
It was a long time after, yeah.
Maybe like a year and a half. It was his senior year right before prom, and called him back and was like, hey, I'm going to be in Detroit, you know, let's meet up. And he ended up getting signed. And then, and then he mentioned, why would Def Jam want to take a risk with me if they can make money off Rihanna or people that are well-known artists? So that's when he did all those mixtapes. And you're right, it did take him 3 of them.
But he was in a duo with what was the guy called?
Pat. I think it was Pat.
Piff.
Pat Piff.
Pat Piff. And Pat was actually the one, or Piff, excuse me, was the one, oh, I see you look at her notes. Piff was the one that got.
Going back.
Good times at AfterBuzz TV. No, but Piff was the one that actually got signed initially. Remember, they said they both got signed, but Piff was the one that they said, you can work better on your own. Can't like
no, they just signed
they
Big
only wanted Sean. They
only
didn't
wanted
want
Sean, okay.
Piff,
Yeah.
and it made me think of that that duo that was on. I don't know if it was America's Got. No, I think it was in England, in Britain's Got Talent or X Factor, whichever one it was. There was a duo, a girl and a big, heavy-set guy that kind of reminded me of Hugo from Lost. Remember that guy? Anyhow, and they sang like they were going to sing an opera sort of duo together, and everyone was kind of like laughing at him because he just looked like pretty much like a fat kid, you know what I mean? And he blew them away, like absolutely blew the judges away, and they said to him, "Really, we think you're the person here. You're the person that should go through to the next stage." And he said, "If it's not both of us together, then it's nothing." And that was so like it almost made me cry, you know, because it just to know that he never would have had the guts probably to get up there on his own, but because of that, you know, that girl he was friends with helped him get there. He said it's both of us together or not, you know. And I wondered whether Pat Piff felt hard done by. We didn't hear his story. I mean, he's not as famous as Big Sean, you know.
But that was mature of them to have that discussion after Big Sean was selected to say,
I guess if we believe what they say.
Well,
I do believe it.
I do, because that happened with Nelly and the Saint Lunatics. He had a whole crew, and Nelly was the one who was chosen.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
he said, you know, I can bring you guys along once I'm up here.
Right.
And he did.
But it's funny because I see it in wrestling a lot. I mean, not that it, you know, I mean, you have tag teams, and it's very rarely that one of the people from the tag team gets taken up or whatever else. But a lot of people, when they go to WWE, say, right, my crew, the guys that I travel the road with, I'm going to get them into WWE after time. And it doesn't happen that often. It very rarely sort of happens for whatever reason. So I wonder, you know.
Eminem too. When Eminem made it, remember? I cannot remember the name of the group that he was with before.
Yeah, I know.
But it was like his second or third album is when he incorporated them into it, and that was something that he had promised if whoever would make it.
They made their own album too.
And he helped get. I cannot think of the name. Forgive me. If you guys know, go ahead and tweet us. You know, let us know. I'm at Thomas Guide. Where can they find you guys at?
At McGuinness Nigel.
At Kendra Kabasele.
Yeah, go ahead and let us know if you know the name of that group. But if anyone's familiar, like when Eminem made it, like he made that promise and kind of helped. It does happen a lot. Maybe it's different in wrestling.
It might be.
But I feel like in music, especially if you grow up in the tough streets of Detroit, or we're kind of mocking because everyone grew up in tough streets and
Of Detroit,
or but yeah, I think everyone kind of looks out for each other, and that's because they know the chance of the group actually making it is more difficult than it would be for like an individual. You know.
Yeah, I guess so. Is Eminem got like a new album out at the moment or not? Do you know?
I don't think so.
I think he has new music. I don't know if it's a new album though.
No.
He just turned 40 this year, I think.
40 years old. Wow. What are you guys going to be getting for Christmas for your significant others?
Go ahead.
Well, is that Amazon?
It was a plug.
Well, that's what I was like, go ahead, see, because, I'm going to go to Amazon.com, and you can find Amazon.com if you go ahead and click on the banner at AFTERBuzzTV.com. You know, I'm actually going to go ahead and buy, I don't know, maybe you can buy flowers on Amazon.com. I'm going to buy some flowers for my mom. Yeah, her birthday was just on, Mama Jo was here last week.
Yeah, happy birthday.
I know, her birthday was on Friday. I'm going to buy her some flowers. It's a little late, but I hope she forgives me.
Yeah, I mean, you could get a lot of things. I didn't know you could get flowers on there.
You get pretty much anything. I mean, I guess that's why they call it Amazon, right? Because the Amazon rainforest is supposed to have like every species of like animal in the world within the Amazon.
Good segue. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Apparently it is. But so it's real simple, isn't it? Basically, if you're going to buy something on Amazon, instead of going to Amazon, go to AfterBuzz TV first, click on the link that will take you to Amazon, and that really helps us out.
It does. It helps us keep the lights on here, and yeah, it definitely helps us get a little Christmas bonus over here. Appreciate it. Yeah, so I don't know, any other thought? Oh, can we go ahead and put My Last up, Marissa, by Big Sean, or Sean Anderson?
Featuring.
I was 14 years.
There we go. That was cool.
What's this called?
This is My Last.
My Lanta.
You're familiar with the song, right?
I'm vibing to it.
I'm vibing.
Wait a second. I got a girlfriend.
Oh, she's from Montreal. Yeah. You got a little more room between you guys. Joking.
Let's all calm down.
Okay. Anyway. Yeah, but you've heard this song before.
No,
right?
that didn't ring any bells.
Really?
No.
I've heard this, yeah. But I didn't realize it was
I don't listen to the radio that much, so, you know, I mean, I'm really kind of, you know, not really up to date with music, you know.
Well, that's what he mentioned. Like after he did mixtape Finally Famous Volume 1, Volume 2, finally Volume 3 hit it, and he was working with I think he said, didn't he mention he was in LA working? That was before when he was working with Kanye West.
Yeah.
And I think those working with Kanye helped him get his lyrics down, because he would come at Kanye with these lyrics, and Kanye's like, no, you got to do better. No, you got to do better. No, you can do better. And he's like, dude, I worked on these all day.
Yeah.
And I think Kanye, the interesting thing about his story, to get back to what you said initially, he had a mentor. Kanye West was Big Sean, or Sean Anderson's mentor. I mean, Sean had to push for that. Like, he had to hand him his demo. He happened to have his demo at the right time when he was rapping for Kanye at the radio station in Detroit. But, Kanye kind of took him under his wing. And, that's a lot of times, I don't know if any of you guys are in high school or college, but, like, it's really good if you find a mentor, because they really will help, not necessarily pave the road for you, but they can teach you their mistake. They can teach you from their mistakes, so you don't make those second mistakes or third. Or
I kind of felt like both the people on today's show kind of, they put themselves in the right positions, and they very quickly had success. And maybe I'm wrong with this, I don't know too much about the history, but if you think about like an Elvis or a Johnny Cash or someone like that, I kind of felt it was kind of the same thing, that they just were immediately recognized as having talent, and then all of a sudden, boom, and I think that was because, and I could be wrong here, but like in the 80s, we were all sort of convinced that you had to have a dream and you had to pursue that dream, and anyone could do it. And I think that created a whole generation of people striving for their dreams, which meant it was arguably more difficult to get their dreams. So that these stories that we're hearing today, I think, are the exception to the rule, and that most people that do have success now, it comes a lot harder.
Well, I think he did have to work, though, a little. Like, he got it. Well, he did get the initial success. Like, he said he got signed to the record label, but didn't he mention it's not what you think it is? Like, it was very hard for him to get out there after getting signed, because they wouldn't take that chance on him. So he realized, he's like, I got to create that ground buzz. I got to create that buzz on the street. But creating that buzz on the street is going to create demand for me. And he even said, Chris Brown was like, dude, I love your record. I love your tape.
To it,
yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big, that's pretty big deal.
I guess it also begs the question, what really is hard work? You know what I mean? Like if you're a single mother and you have to work, 2 full-time jobs to make sure that your kids stay in school, that's hard work.
Right.
But sort of, spitting tunes and, doing that for 8 hours a day, it's difficult, sure. I don't want to take anything away from it, but, I just think that there's something to be said for that.
The term is used loosely, right?
Right. Yeah. I think it's very easy to say, oh, I worked so hard, and I can say it myself, from when I was wrestling, and I used to, eat every 3 hours and go to the gym 5 days a week and be away every weekend. And
yeah, I think it's a question of discipline. So hard work, discipline and paying your dues, because a lot of the artists who are big now, Jay-Z, etc., they sold, tapes out of their trunks back in the day, and today, that doesn't translate. So I think Big Sean going to the streets was kind of his way of saying, well, I need to, work at this, and make something out of it.
I think that is true. And, he didn't even bring up technology with this industry, and that a lot of other, people have in the past. They bring up like, oh, I did Twitter and Facebook, was growing my fan base. He actually did the street groundwork, which is something you would have heard, like you said, back with Jay-Z in like more the mid-90s and even late 90s, early 2000s, but now things have changed with technology.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I picture him as being a very hard worker, because he even said, because Big Sean, we're talking about Big Sean again, he said that, I didn't hear back from Kanye, so I was planning on going to college, I think it was Michigan State, and all of a sudden he heard back. So he had other options. He's like, I'm going to go to school and work on this. He was very smart about it. He's like, I'm going to get it's probably his mom and grandma pushed him, and he didn't. That's something too we didn't talk about. He mentioned that his grandma put him in private school, and he grew up in a really bad neighborhood. So I think that always pushed him to do well, because he knew his grandma had sacrificed to put him in a good school.
I think, was it Flo Rida did the same thing? He was in private school or had better opportunities than some of his friends. And maybe Meek Mill, I can't remember.
I think you can definitely see that's a unifying theme from a lot of people that grew up in tough areas, that they had one person that for whatever reason, they managed to sort of identify with and keep them in a certain path. I think that's something to be taken from this. Yeah,
and he was realistic from the beginning about this, which is what I like, that he was going to go to college and pursue this on the side until it hit, but he was going to definitely have that solid job. Because as we all know, working in this industry, whether you're working in the production side, the wrestling side, any type of entertainment, it can be very difficult at times, and it can be feast or famine. And that is the reality of the situation. I'm off my soapbox. So, just kind of joking.
Come on down.
How many more episodes do we have? You know?
I think it's 12 episodes this season.
12 episodes,
Yeah.
okay,
But
fantastic.
it depends on how they space them out. MTV, keep in touch with us. We love hearing back from you guys. And
They keep us on our toes.
they definitely do.
Yes.
And anything else? Do you guys want to? You have some pictures that you wanted to pull up. I
Yeah, we
think.
had the AFTERBUZZ holiday party this weekend, and in honor of Jesse, who can't be here today, he has an event. We have some pictures of him spinning, not spitting, spinning. Oh, Mark.
Oh, there you go. That
Thanks,
is
Mark.
DJ Jesse Janity.
On the ones and twos.
No 3s and 4s. No. Sorry, I have really bad sense of
Stumped
humor.
me. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, that's just.
Is that the picture? Any more pictures?
Let's see if there's any more.
Just of the
Not
turntable.
very dynamic, is it?
Yeah, so it was our Christmas party this Friday. Everyone here at AfterBuzz TV got together, you know, and we got to all talk and have a good time outside of work, and it was something we really enjoyed. It's a good time.
Yeah, it was good. Where were you?
I was working hard.
And what about you working on? Yeah, tell us about your project, and I think
I've
we have
been
that clip
making
too.
a documentary, really for the last 8 months, 9 months of my life. I used to be a professional wrestler. I retired at the end of last year and went on a retirement tour. Filmed it all, had 70 hours worth of footage, and had to essentially turn that 70 hours into 90 minutes. And to do that, I went on Kickstarter.com, which if you're all familiar with.
Is that you?
That is me. Can we back it up to the start? Or not? Hold on a second.
I have blonde hair, Nigel.
This is a trailer for the documentary that I'm about to be putting out here in a second. If we can, here we go. When I was 14 years old, I had a dream. A dream that nearly a decade later, I couldn't forget. I thought it was my destiny to be a professional wrestler on national TV. A decade later, I finally made it. Or so I thought. In less than a year, it was over.
Right, so you disappear, yeah, you're off television, you're done. What's the story?
And nobody knew why.
I think a lot of people have read on the internet that I've got hepatitis C, and everybody else thinks I've just got brain damage. So,
This is the story of my final tour. On the shows where I started, with the people I knew.
No, I can't wrestle anymore. Please feel sorry for me.
It was the last time I'd ever wrestle. The last chance to say goodbye. The last hope for a resolution. The last of McGuinness.
Wow. And where can they find that at, Nigel?
If you go to nigelwrestling.com, that's my website. There are a few left. Basically, to get this thing funded, to get this made, I had to put it on Kickstarter, and I had about 1,000 people donate money to it. So they're going to get a DVD, and the ones that are remaining, I'm selling off my website. So I'll be doing some media in the upcoming weeks and stuff like that. But if you want to see the real thing, the real deal, Holyfield, nigelwrestling.com, and you get one of the last ones for that Christmas time on Amazon. Unfortunately, not yet.
And where can they find you on Twitter?
At McGinnis Nigel.
Yeah?
Is it? Oh.
Yeah, at McGuinness Nigel. I'm on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
But you know, that's the easiest way to tweet me on there. You know, so but it's interesting. You know, this whole series that we've been doing is called "This Is How I Made It," and it's always been very sort of difficult for me to come to terms with that because I was on TV. You know, I had some time there. People know I had my own little action figure. You know what I mean? But I never got to the stage where I'm recognisable on the street. You know, where I never went to WWE to where people would say, "Okay, you made it." Well, some people did, some people didn't, and that to me is why this whole series is so interesting to me, because you know I have to constantly sort of come to terms with that, trying to understand what my career was, what it wasn't, and what's important and what isn't important to me. You know, like is it important that there aren't millions of people around the world that could recognise me, or is it more important that there are thousands of people around the world that I mean the world to? I don't know. You know, that's a.
What, if I can ask, what was your goal with it? Do you think it was for the 1,000 people or for?
I think it was for the millions of people, really. But I just ultimately, my goal was to prove that if you have a dream, whatever that dream is, and you never give up, and you bust your ass, and you believe in yourself, that you can make it. That was my goal. You know, I just wanted to, you know, I remember sitting in Wembley Stadium and I was 14 years old, or however old I was, watching SummerSlam '92, the British Bulldog and Bret the Hitman Hart. And I remember sitting there and my hair standing on end, just feeling like I'm going to be a professional wrestler. And at the time I was small and skinny, and like everyone just thought I was being ridiculous, you know, especially living in England. But I just really believed it. For whatever reason, I just had that feeling it was going to happen. And that was why I came to America, and that was why I paid my dues, and I made my sacrifices, and I refused to give up. And then I got very close, kind of touched it, and then it sort of fell by the wayside. But you'll have to watch the movie to understand exactly what happened. You know.
Well, that's a great story to share with our viewers, because, you know, but in a way, like, you actually did make it. You set something out and you actually accomplished that. And I think that shows, like, I mean, I had that same experience when I was a kid, not wrestling, but, you know, I saw news anchors and, you know, I was a reporter briefly, and I was like, I'm going to do that. And I had it in my head and did it. Like, you know, against all odds, I ended up doing that for a couple of years. And, but I think that shows, like, I mean, that's a very tough industry to break into. And you were like, no, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. And, you know, it was a year time, but I think that's a pretty awesome story. And it's more than, you know, a lot of people ever get to do in their lifetime. And it's something to share. And, you know, I think, you know, your struggles that you know, the little brief, you know, part right here that you showed, that hopefully that can help other people, you know, work through whatever they're. Well,
I hope so. Like I said, I've had a lot of feedback so far. I put it up, and some wrestling fans that donated money have seen it, and all the feedback so far has been very, very positive, talking about how a lot of it resonated with them, and people that have never even tried to be wrestlers. And I think that's the thing. There are certain unifying themes that we see when we watch these shows, themes of just, you know, the human psyche, you know, how we all have certain dreams, we all have certain goals in life. We all want to do more than just exist, you know, we want our lives to mean something. And I think that's one thing that carries through that, and understanding that. I wonder sometimes, and I said on a couple of occasions, a couple of these people that are on This Is How I Made It, do you think that, you know, after the show's over and they're back at home in the hotel on their own, and they've got maybe no one that they really can trust to talk to or whatever else, or they think that only people want to be friends with them because they've got money, do they feel like they've made it, or do they go, you know what, I wish I could just have a best friend. I wish I could go back to being 14 years old again, where everything was easy. You don't know, you know.
How did that feel for you? Did you have that? That's interesting. Like, did you, when you were in the limelight, did you have that experience where it was hard to trust people? Or
No, I never got to that stage. I mean, I never got to WWE where I was making the millions of dollars. I got to the stage where I was wrestling on some big crowds. I wrestled in front of like 20,000 people in Japan, and when I was about 15 years old, I skipped school to go and watch WCW at Wembley Arena. It's the first time I ever saw William Regal. He was a very, very big, sort of famous English wrestler, and one of the best of that generation. And I remember the same thing, sitting there going, yeah, I really want to do this. I really want to do this. And about 15 years later, I was in Wembley Arena as like the top British guy there, wrestling against one of the American guys, and like 8,000, 9,000 people cheering me on. That was where I really feel like, wow, I've made it now. You know, I've really felt like this is it, and I've achieved my dream, and it's all like this now. You know, I felt like I was, you know, Big Sean when he finally had that record, you know, or Karlie Kloss when she finally, you know, got on that runway. Except they carried on, and I didn't.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, I think I really want to check that out now. It sounds like a really good documentary on it, and it kind of sheds a different light. Like, obviously having worked with you and now seeing this, it kind of sheds a different light on your life. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite a sort of outwardly gregarious, and I sort of say things for effect and shock sometimes, but I think that's just because I try and project this thing like I've got to make an impact on somebody, you know what I mean? I want to make sure that if I meet them one time, they still remember who I am, whereas obviously everybody underneath that has, you know, layers, like an onion.
Oh, Nigel.
Well,
on that note.
Do you speak French?
I do.
You do?
Do you?
Un peu.
Oh. I don't know what that means. But on that note, that does it for us this week. Again, my name's Thomas. You can find me at Thomas Guide. Play with my Twitter at TOMASGUIDE.
At Kendra Kabasele, KENDRA KABASELE.
And McGuinness Nigel Wrestling. Buy my DVD. You will love it.
You want more of it. Thanks again.
Merci.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Merci beaucoup.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.